Hello, my name is Jack. I am a student of English. This is my story. I want to tell you about my life in London. I want to tell you about my fantastic teacher. You can read my story. You can learn English with me. It is a beautiful summer day. I am traveling on a train. 2 women are on the train with me. The women sit opposite me. The women speak English. I don't understand much. I study English, but I am a beginner. I don't know many words. I start to speak to the women. I say some words in my basic English. The women understand what I want to say. I am happy. I say that I want to learn English. They women tell me that they are from England. They go home from a conference. Our conversation is 10 minutes long. The next station is my station. I say goodbye. The women give me their address and phone number. They tell me that I can visit them in England. Then we say goodbye. After this meeting, I work on my English every day. I translate texts and I watch films in English. In 6 months, my English is much better. It is good, but I want to know more. I go to London. I want to study English in London. When I am in London, I go to a school. My first lesson is on Monday. I meet my teacher and other students in the class. My teacher is a young lady. She is very nice. We say our names. We say where we are from. Then the lesson starts. Our teacher has a question for us. She wants to know how we study English. Our teacher says that she can teach us a very effective method to learn English. This method is very simple. Our teacher tells us that we don't have to study, we don't have to read textbooks, but we have to use English a lot. It is very good for me. I don't like studying, and I don't like textbooks. Then we speak about what is important when we learn a new language. Our teacher tells us, we need languages for communication. Languages help us say ideas and understand ideas. So when you learn a new language, the best method is to use the language for communication. And this is what we will do in our course. We will speak a lot. Many students try to remember new words. They also study grammar rules. And these students don't use English for speaking. They study about the language, but they don't use the language. Of course, you need to learn new words and new grammar, but you don't have to study them. In this course, I want to show you a very simple and effective method how to learn words and grammar. I like what our teacher says. Our lesson continues. We speak about our hobbies and what we do in our free time. We speak in pairs or with our teacher. We speak all the lesson. I like it. I am really happy. This system of learning is very good for me. When you want to learn English, use English for communication. How to learn words. I go to school on Tuesday again. One student asks a question which is very interesting. She asks, what is the best method to learn new words? Our teacher says, there are many things which you can do if you want to learn new words. For me, reading is the best. If you read, you learn faster than people who don't read. It is good to read for 30 minutes every day. I want to show you what you can do if you want to get the maximum from reading. It is very important that the book or text which you read is interesting for you. The book can be a nice story. The text can have some interesting information for your job or your hobby. Don't read a text which isn't interesting for you. It is good to read a text in which you know a lot of words. Of course, sometimes you can see words which you don't know. When you see a word which you don't know, take a dictionary and look at the word in the dictionary. Then continue reading. You don't have to write the word on a piece of paper. You don't have to try to remember the word. When you translate the word, continue reading. Concentrate only on understanding the text. It is important. When you see another new word, translate the word. The method is very simple. You only read and you translate new words. It is all. Reading is also good because when you read, you learn how every word is connected to other words in the sentence. You see how to connect the words correctly. This method of learning new words is very effective. Try it, and you can see how fast you can learn new words. Then we continue with the lesson. We speak about the situation in England. We speak about the best jobs for students. This is good because I want to have a job. I want to do something after my school. I ask other students if they know where I can find a job. They tell me that I can go to a job center. The job center has a lot of jobs for students. This is good for me. I am happy that I know where I can find a job. When my day at school is finished, I go to the job center. I don't know what jobs I can do. So I ask the lady at the job center what the best job for a student is. The lady tells me that they have some good jobs for students. She tells me that I can be a cleaner or a waiter in a cafe. I tell the lady that I have no experience with these jobs. She tells me that my English is good fought work at a cafe. The training is not difficult, and I can use English when I speak to customers. The lady tells me that I can start my job on Thursday. It is all good for me. I'm happy that I have a job where I can use English. When you want to learn new words effectively, read for 30 minutes every day. How to learn pronunciation. On Wednesday, I go to school again. There is one student in the class who is more quiet than other students. He is from South Korea. When our teacher asks if we have any questions for her, this student from Korea says that he has a question. He says that he has a big problem with pronunciation. He knows that his pronunciation is not very good, but he doesn't know how to make it better. He doesn't speak much because he doesn't like his pronunciation. He says that he reads and watches films in English a lot. He understands very well, but he also wants to speak well. He asks if there is something what he can do with his pronunciation. When my teacher hears this, she says, "Okay, I can tell you something about pronunciation and how to practice it. I also want to teach you a technique which can help you with pronunciation." First, we have to look at why students have problems with pronunciation. When we speak, we have to move our mouth. We have to use muscles in our mouth. The problem is that when you speak English, sometimes you use your muscles like in your native language. Then your English pronunciation is like pronunciation in your native language. This happens to many students who learn English. Almost every student has a little different pronunciation than native speakers have. It is not a big problem because usually people understand what you want to say. You are a student and it is logical that your pronunciation is not perfect when you study English. But you can work on your pronunciation and make it better. There is a great technique that can help you a lot. The name of this technique is shadowing. The technique is very simple. When you do shadowing, you simply copy the sound which you hear. When children learn their first language, they also copy what they hear. They copy after their parents again and again, and after some time their pronunciation is perfect. You can learn English pronunciation the same way. You can take some video which is not very fast, and which you understand very well. You listen, and you copy what you hear when you hear it. It is all. Then, our teacher goes to www.youtube.com, and she finds a good video where the shadowing technique is well demonstrated. We watch the video. Then we all try to do shadowing for about 3 minutes. Then our teacher tells us, shadowing is also good when you are preparing for a presentation and you want to have good pronunciation. Before the presentation, You can go to some place where you are alone, and you can do shadowing for about 10 minutes. You will see how much it will help you to have better pronunciation during the presentation. This is very interesting for me. I haven't heard about this technique before. When the lesson finishes, I go to the school reception. I ask the lady if there are any sport activities at school. I would like to do some sport in England. The lady at the reception says, "Yes, we have a table tennis team and a football team. The football team has training today at 5 o'clock. I am very happy because sport is very important in my life. I go to the training of the football team. I meet a lot of players from different countries. The players are from Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. I like the training. I am very happy that my time in England starts well. I have a great teacher. I also have some new friends from my football team. Also, tomorrow I am starting my job." When you want to have good pronunciation, repeat after native speakers. How to practice speaking. On Thursday, I go to school again. We have a new student in our class. Her name is Monica, and she is from Italy. At the beginning of the lesson, my teacher asks Monica some questions. My teacher knows Monica because Monica visited her class 1 year ago. It was a class for beginners, and it was only for 2 weeks during summer holiday. When Monica speaks, her English is beautiful. Her pronunciation is very good, and she is very fluent. My teacher is very happy, and she tells Monica, "Your school in Italy must be very good." Monica says, "I don't go to any school. I learn English at home. I use techniques from you. I do a lot of reading, shadowing, and thinking aloud. I try to think more in English than in Italian. This is how I work on my English. The 2 weeks which I spent last summer at your class helped me a lot. You showed me the way. I know how to work on my English every day. This is why I wanted to go to your class again, because 1 year ago, I was a beginner, and now I can speak English. I want to learn from you again." My teacher is very happy when she hears these words. She thanks Monica for her hard work. It is all very interesting for me. I already know about reading. I also know the shadowing technique. But Monica also speaks about thinking aloud. I don't know what it is. So I ask our teacher, "What is thinking aloud?" Our teacher says, "It is a very effective technique. You have to have a strong motivation to learn English if you want to have benefit from this technique. It is also good to know that for some people this technique is a little crazy. But when you start to think aloud, your English can be better very fast." I say, "I have a strong motivation. I don't care if the technique is crazy. If it helps, I want to learn it. Can you teach us this technique?" Okay, it is actually very simple. You think in your native language all day, every day. It is normal. Now, you can start to think in English. And when you start to think in English, then you can think aloud. You simply say aloud what you think. It is all. I say. It is very simple. Why is it very effective? Our teacher says, "Maybe you can ask Monica. She uses this technique. Maybe she can tell you more about this technique." Then our teacher asks Monica if it is okay for her to speak about her experience with thinking aloud. It is no problem for Monica. She says, "When I started with this technique, it wasn't easy. I started with very simple sentences. For example, I can speak English. It is good that I can speak English. I want to be better. I need to practice every day. I don't know many words, but I can use these words well. I can say my ideas with these words. I can do this. This is great. The sentences were really simple, but at the beginning there was one problem. My thinking in Italian was long and complicated. I wasn't able to say in English exactly what I was saying in Italian. I needed to find a simpler form for English. To think in simple English was the hardest part. But after some time it was normal for me to think in English. Then something interesting happened. I met a man from Australia. He was on holiday in Italy. I was still a beginner, but we started to speak English. I could see that I was able to speak with him without big problems. My sentences were simple and short, but I was able to speak. I didn't translate in my head from Italian to English. After the meeting with the man from Australia, I started to use thinking aloud more. This technique helped me a lot with my speaking. I still use it every day. It is really a very effective technique. Our teacher thanks Monica for her experience with thinking aloud. I want to use this technique because I also want to be better at speaking. When you want to speak English fluently, think aloud. How to learn grammar. After school, I go to the cafe where my job training starts. I don't know what to expect. I have no experience. I am not sure if I can do this job. When I come to the cafe, I am very surprised. It is a modern cafe which sells coffee, tea, and also chocolate cakes and sandwiches. And my boss is only 25 years old. She started to work at the cafe 2 years ago. She has a lot of experience and she knows everything perfectly. She shows me how to prepare coffee, how to wash the dishes, and how to deal with customers. It is all new for me. I remember only about 20% of what she tells me. But then she lets me do the work and she corrects me when I make a mistake. She is very friendly, and I learn fast. After the first day at work, I am very tired, but I am happy that I have a job. The next day is Friday, and I go to school again. One student asks an interesting question. Sometimes when I speak, I am not sure if I speak correctly. I am not sure if I use correct grammar. Can you help me what to do if I want to learn grammar? Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question." There are two groups of students. Some students study English because they want to be able to speak. Some students study English because they want to pass an exam. For each group, the situation is different. First, I will speak about the students who need English for speaking. If this is you, you don't have to study grammar a lot. Also learnt it without studying grammar. You can learn English grammar naturally by using the language when you learnt your native language, you. The best way to learn grammar naturally is by reading a lot. Books are written in good grammar. When you read, you will learn grammar in the context of the whole sentence. I also recommend shadowing. When you do shadowing, you practice the correct grammar. You do it naturally. You don't have to try to remember anything. You only copy sentences with correct grammar. If you need English for speaking but also want to study grammar, you can visit www.grammarinlevels. This website shows what grammar is important for the different levels of English. You can find the most important grammar rules for speaking there. The second group of students are those who study English for passing an exam. If you are one of these students, I recommend studying specifically for this exam. It can take the versions of this exam from the past years if it is possible, and train with them. Of course, your exam will be a little different, but the structure is usually the same or very similar. From my point of view, the versions of the exam from the past years are good training materials. Then I recommend going to the exam only when your results in the training materials are such that you can pass the exam successfully. Did I answer your question? Yes, thank you, says the student. This is good news. I don't like studying grammar. I learn English because I want to be able to speak. I don't need to pass any exam. I am happy that I don't have to study grammar much. I like reading, and I am happy that I can learn grammar by reading books. After the lesson, I go to the website www.grammarinlevels.com. It is really a nice website. There are grammar rules with examples for each level. They have 3 levels. These levels are 1,000, 2,000, and 3,000 words. In the afternoon, I go to my work. It is my second day, and I can already do a lot of things by myself. But my boss helps me when I need it. I see that my work is not very difficult. Also, I can practice English when I speak to our customers. When you want to have good grammar, read a lot. How to test your English. It is Monday again, and I go to my school. Our teacher asks us what we did at the weekend. I say that I was at work on Saturday. I say that I can already do my work well. I say that I am happy when I can speak to our customers. When I speak, one of the girls in the class asks me, "What happened to your voice? You sound very different from what we heard last week. Your pronunciation is very good." I smile and I say, "Thank you. I used shadowing on Saturday evening after my work, and the whole Sunday. I tried to speak like a native speaker. I know that it is not perfect, but I also see a big change in my pronunciation." Our teacher asks if other students tried to practice shadowing. 3 students say yes. One of them is the student from South Korea. He also likes this technique. One student says that she tried the technique, but her mouth was in pain after 5 minutes of shadowing and she stopped. She also says that she wasn't always able to repeat everything because the recording was very fast for her. Our teacher says, "Thank you for trying out this technique. If you do shadowing for the first time and your mouth is in pain after 5 minutes, you do it correctly. You need to train your muscles to this new way of speaking. It is like going to the gym for the first time. Your muscles can hurt if they are not trained. If the muscles in our mouth hurt, you can take a break after 5 minutes of shadowing, and you can continue a bit later. With every 5 minutes of practice, your pronunciation is better." Shadowing has also other advantages. You practice the correct pronunciation in English, and you also practice other things. For example, intonation, rhythm, and connecting words in whole sentences. I know that at the beginning, the recording can sometimes be very fast for you. If this happens, you can repeat only the first or the last word in the sentence. With practice, you will be able to repeat more. I say that it is true. On Saturday, when I started with shadowing, it was difficult for me. But on Sunday evening, it was easy to repeat what I heard. Then I have a question for our teacher. I tell her that I looked at www.grammarinlevels.com. The website is interesting, but I don't know what level is for me because I don't know how many words I know. Our teacher asks other students if they know how many words they know in English. It is interesting to see that nobody knows. We know that we are intermediate students, but we don't know how many words we know. Our teacher says, "There is a website for people who study foreign languages. You can do a test there. You can know how many words you know. The test has only 2 steps, and it is really simple. The name of the website is www.testlanguages.com. You can do the test every month, and you can see how much you improved during that month. If you want, you can now take your smartphones and go to that website and do the test. I am really interested in knowing how many words I know. I do the test immediately. I find out that I know 2,100 words in English. Most of the students know between 2,000 and 2,200 words. Only Monica and the boy from South Korea know 2,500 words. How to handle mistakes. On Tuesday, I go to school again. One student asks our teacher an interesting question. She says, "I would like to practice speaking with people around me, but I'm afraid of making mistakes. I don't want to look stupid. Can you help me?" Our teacher says, "Making mistakes is a very interesting topic. There are a lot of opinions on it. I want to show you what I believe is the best approach. I have a lot of experience with this, because I also learnt new languages. I still continue doing it. For example, now I am learning Spanish. When I speak Spanish, I don't care if I make mistakes or not. The reason why I don't care about mistakes is simple. When I learnt my native language, I didn't care about making mistakes either. So why should I care now? My main goal when I use any language is to express my ideas. That is all. I know that when I read a lot, speak, and do shadowing, my Spanish will be better and better. I know that this can sound incredibly simple, but it is my opinion. This is what I have found after many years of both teaching and learning languages. It works very well for me and many of my students. When I speak, I only concentrate on speaking. At the moment, I know 1,500 words in Spanish. It is the level of a 2-year-old child. 2-year-old children make a lot of mistakes when they speak, but they don't care about their mistakes. They continue using their native language, and when they are 3 years old, they make very few mistakes, and when they are 4 years old, they already speak very well with hardly making any mistakes. You should have the same attitude. Now, most of you know about 2,000 words, so it is absolutely okay to make mistakes time to time. When you continue using English, there will be fewer and fewer mistakes in your speaking. It is not possible to get better without making mistakes. When you practice English, it is okay not to be perfect. Perfection comes with practice. Anybody who started to learn English started from the beginning, from the same level, which is level 0. Learning languages is like learning to play a musical instrument. It needs to be trained. When you start your training, it is not perfect at first, and you make mistakes. It is normal. Take it as a necessary part of your learning process. If you didn't go through this period of making mistakes, you could not get to higher levels. By continuing to do what you want to learn, the mistakes are gradually being eliminated. If you want to make fewer and fewer mistakes, do a lot of reading and shadowing. When you read, you can read aloud. It can also help you make fewer mistakes. In real conversations, care only about exchanging ideas. Don't care about making mistakes. When you speak, you practice changing your thoughts into words. You don't learn grammar or words. You have other activities for that. Don't worry. Everybody who learns a foreign language makes mistakes from time to time. Even famous people, bosses of big companies, or politicians. When you listen to these people on TV, you see that they don't care about mistakes. They care about what is important, and that is expressing their ideas. You should do the same. Does it make sense? The girl says, "Yes, thank you." If you don't want to make mistakes, do a lot of reading and shadowing. How to remember words. On Wednesday, I go to school again. At the beginning of the lesson, one student says, "I started to read more. I feel that it is good for me. I can see how my grammar is better, but I have a problem. When I read, I look up a new word in a dictionary. Then I continue reading. Sometimes when I see the same word again only 10 minutes later, I don't remember the word and I have to look it up again. Can you help me to remember the words better?" Our teacher says that it is an interesting question, and she gives this explanation. It is absolutely normal that you don't remember the new word immediately. Usually you will have to look up the word 5 times before you remember it. There will be also words that you will have to look up 10 or 15 times. These words are usually verbs. When we learn a new word, the word goes through phases. Only when you achieve the last phase, you remember the word very well. There are 5 of these phases. Let's have a look at them. The first phase is the moment when you see the word for the first time and you don't know the word. You look it up in the dictionary. The second phase is the moment when you see the word that you have already looked up in the dictionary or heard or saw it in the past. You know that you saw this word before, but you still don't remember its meaning. You look up the word again. The third phase is the moment when you see the word again and you feel what it could mean, but you are not sure. For example, you know that the word is some kind of object or some animal or a verb. The fourth phase is the moment when you already know what the word means when you see it, but you are not able to recall the word when you want to say it. When this phase happens, the word is in your passive vocabulary. The fifth phase is the moment when you are able to use the word when you speak. Now you can see there are 5 phases altogether. Do you understand now why it is not possible to remember a new word when you see it for the first time? You would have to jump across all the phases with the first encounter with the word. You have to see or hear every word several times and let it go through all the phases until you get to phase number 5. You can be happy not only when you learn a new word perfectly, but also when you get from one phase to the other. When it happens, you are closer to the final goal, and it is to use the word without problems in everyday communication. All of this is interesting to me. I didn't know about these phases, but it is all logical. It also happened to me that I looked up a new word in the dictionary, but 2 minutes later, I didn't know what the word was, and I had to look it up again. I felt stupid that I didn't remember the word. Now, I know that it is absolutely okay not to remember the word forever when I see it for the first time. I need several encounters with the word before I can use the word well. After school, I go to my football training. Our coach tells us that there will be a match on Saturday. The school team will play against another school team from Cambridge. Our coach tells me to come and play for the school team. I am very happy and I am looking forward to the Saturday match. When you want to remember a new word, you need to see or hear the word about 10 times.